I don't want this to sound the way that I know it's going to come off, though, the first time I say it. Don't tell anyone what to do tonight. Don't like be authentic. And I don't have all negative thoughts about Jordan Poole at all. And I would not boo. I would not even stay silent. I will absolutely give him applause. But I don't want any Warrior fan to feel like they've got to lose their voice or something tonight because Jordan Poole's coming back to town. And it's a classic phrase that we use a lot, but I think it's very appropriate here. Larry, it's complicated.
And just, how you feel is how you feel.
Yeah.
And I would never tell somebody, do what you want. You're paying big money for these tickets. You as a fan, you got a right. If he rubbed you wrong, then boo him. If you love him, then cheer him. But don't just cheer him because you feel like you have to because he was part of a title team. I mean, it's not going to be disrespect to the title. It's not disrespect to the work that he did. There could be any number of reasons that you like a player or dislike a player. Express yourself freely.
I don't think nobody's going to boo.
There will be people in the arena that boo.
You think?
Yeah, but there's just people that look at everything as good and evil and right and wrong and very cut and dry. You're on my team, I love you. You're on the other team, I hate you.
Yeah, but
I love Draymond, and him and Draymond didn't get along.
But
there's just people.
But there's a video tribute there. Like there's a video tribute. You don't boo during a video tribute, do you?
No, I mean,
I think there'll be these.
I wouldn't boo.
I think there'll be these weird groans when he first hits a three tonight. It's going to be a different sound. Whatever. Like there's going to be it'll sound like Bruce Bochy apparently, but you know what I mean? Like
get a beer. You hear a gigantic get a beer.
I think it's going to be different. But I don't think anybody's going to boo during a video tribute. That takes a special kind of weirdo to do that.
But I'm not for, hey, we all must, in lockstep, think alike, we're in a part of the world where you're allowed to do what you want. Do what you want.
Yeah, absolutely.
Don't,
just
express yourself how you want. If you don't like the guy, then let him know. If you love the guy, then let him know. If you appreciate him, let him know. If you don't appreciate him, let him know. Who cares?
I know the Warriors want it to sound a certain way, and I get that.
They want everybody to cheer.
Well, they are going to look at it the way that fans are being asked to look at it, but we don't have to look at it that way, which is if you contribute in a major way to a championship for an organization, then yeah, your money's no good here ever again, right? If Jordan Poole wants a sideline seat for the rest of his life as a Warrior, he can have it. And if Deion Sanders wants to be on the sideline at a Niner game, yep, I bet he's got the juice to do it. And that's the way an organization looks at it, and that's fine. Like, he worked for you. We're fans, and there is a multi-tiered story to Jordan Poole, and I don't ignore any of it. Steiny's right. He worked very hard. I'm impressed. He got himself to a certain level. He changed himself as a player. I'm impressed. Then he helped them win a championship. I'm impressed. He did get worse with each series in 2022. I think people forget that. As the stage grew, he shrunk. Whatever. He was 22, 21. So not going to rip him for that, but it was interesting. And then the next year, the whole organization went sideways and seemingly turned against him. And that's the one thing I would ask the Warriors, right? I don't want, okay, Warriors, if you're so hell-bent on everybody backing Jordan Poole tonight, wouldn't it be a fair question to be like, did you?
I mean, deep down.
Did you back Jordan Poole every step of the way?
You don't pay yourself as a player. I mean, the team paid him. I mean, they paid him. If anybody should be booed, it's the person who made the decision to give him that contract that devalued him because at this point, it's a contract that's going to be hard for the Wizards to move.
Although they never actually paid it. They signed it.
They signed it.
They never paid it.
Right.
They didn't pay Jordan that much.
But they committed to it. Yeah.
Yeah.
They committed to it, and they committed way too much money to it. I said it at the time. I'm sure others did as well. It was a ridiculous amount of money, $35 million or whatever it was on average for a combo guard who doesn't play half the game, doesn't play half the court. So they overpaid him, and then they had to offload him, and they did so at a loss, I think, because Chris Paul's 38, and we'll see if what they can turn Chris Paul into on the back end. But yeah, he didn't pay himself, so you can't get mad at him about the contract. You can't really get mad at him too much about the way he worked, because supposedly he was the first guy in, last guy out.
Yeah, absolutely.
And ultimately, I think as a fan, on some level, I personally would cheer the guy just because the effort. You know what I mean? Like when you are the first guy in the gym and the last guy out, and that shows to me a level of dedication and work where I would cheer the guy, but I didn't get too wrapped up in the soap opera of it either.
So when the video tribute happens, and then when it ends, the camera shows Jordan over on the bench. That's usually how it works. You want to know what I'm going to sound like tonight? Here, let me back up. All right. That's it. I'm not doing more. That's what I feel. Like, okay,
right.
Cool. Jordan Poole's back. Like, right on. Good stuff, Jordan. That was, you know what I mean? Like, good work. Amazing championship run. There's other stuff too.
Right.
I'm not going to stand up. I'm not spilling my nachos so that and
you're not going to knee the person in front of you in the ear.
I mean,
oh, sorry about that, sir.
Like I'm not going to run down the stairs with a flag. That's not how I feel about Jordan Poole. I also don't forget how much he drove all of us nuts last year. And I mean that purely as a basketball player. Soap opera be damned. You all, everybody listening to us, you tore hair out the side of your head watching him play ball last year. Happened to all of us. I got the text messages to prove it. Every friend of mine who's watching games, we text each other during games, and everybody, SMH Poole, good Lord. Stay on your feet. Stop talking to the refs. Stop dribbling off your foot. Why didn't you pass it to Steph? He drove us nuts last year.
Well, he pouted, and he had this ongoing deal with the refs. To me, my biggest complaint was the way he played when the money was on the table in the playoffs, where he just kept, hey, I'm going to do my Steph Curry, imitation. You're not Steph Curry. But you know what? I think that Steve needs to take some responsibility for that as well. Somebody should have gotten.
By the way,
somebody should have gotten in his face and told him, "Hey, man, that ain't your game. Here's your game," and be real with these guys, and just be like, "Hey, you think you're Steph? You're not Steph. You think you can play the game the way he plays the game? He doesn't. You don't. You have different skill sets. Play to your skill set. Don't be enamored with his skill set." And try to be a bad replication of Steph Curry. And that's what it was at the end. He was a guy who didn't want to drive, didn't want to take the physical abuse, didn't want to live at the line, then would pout when he didn't get calls. He would stop playing. He was hoisting heat check threes. He was broken on the offensive end, and he never gave you much on the defensive end.
Right. Well, and by the way, I do think, and I guarantee you, as people are listening to you talk, there's some thoughts going through their head with regard to, like, are there reasons for that? Whether it's anger that the organization wasn't starting him, anger that the organization didn't have his back, or just anger at Draymond Green, or what I think is a more intricate point, which is that Jordan Poole, this is normal for an NBA player. If you are a young, and we know how he sees himself, if you're a young up-and-coming star, you want a team. You want a team. You want it to be yours. You want to be a centerpiece. Jordan Poole was offered a contract with a ton of guaranteed money that he had no choice but to sign, but it's probably not with the organization he wanted to be with. Not for any reason other than Steph and Clay are in his way. Like, he can't even start here. How do you make $130 million as an NBA player and you're not even a starter? So he probably wanted to be elsewhere, and I think he played that way. He played like he had something to prove, even though the contract had already been signed, and I don't really blame him for it. I get it, but it doesn't fit. Not a fit here. You can't do that here.
Well, there's a word for it. It's called selfish.
Well, but that's understandable selfishness.
When you put your own, no, I don't think so.
Yeah, he's trying to have his career set up. He's only in his early 20s.
But what are you committed to? Are you committed to helping your team be the best team it can be? Or are you committed to putting up stats that justify your pay?
It's a lot of money on the line, bud. I mean, that's not.
But you're already been paid.
Yeah, but that's one contract.
Dry.
But that's one contract.
Don't tell me you're playing for a contract. You got the contract.
But he wants another one.
But
he wants another one.
But they haven't even taken effect yet.
I know, but you know how this is. Look, Klay Thompson is sitting here right now going, you better pay me. And no one's ripping him. He's made $1 bajillion. Why would he ever need another dollar? But he supposedly already turned down one offer from the Warriors because that's the way it works. I'm not going to get, I get what you're saying. And you'd love
play to win. I want the game starts at 7:00. I want guys who or 7:30 maybe.
Yeah, probably 7.
Show up to win. I want guys who show up to win.
I feel you. But do you also see that it's impossible for an athlete to remove the idea of his standing within the league at the same time?
Well, no, I mean no. No,
I don't. He's not going to sign up to be a bench player for the first 7 years of his career. That's just I don't think he should be asked to do that.
But I mean, to me, it's not asking too much to say I'd like every guy on the team to figure out what role they play to help the team win and play that role. And I get it a little bit when you're going for a contract. This is a guy who'd already signed a contract.
I know.
You've already gotten paid. Now you've been we took care of you and secured your future financially. Now you play the game by our rules and blend. It's basketball.
Well,
it's not baseball where everybody's got their time at bat and do whatever the heck you want. It's not an individual game. It's a team game. And you have to play well around your teammates and you have to complement their skill set. I understand the desire to make the money, but he'd already made the money. Well, he'd already signed the deal. So I just wanted to see him play to his strengths, which were don't shoot heat check threes, put it on the deck, go to the hole, draw the fouls, make 94%, and that was his best equation to help them win, and he didn't gravitate towards that.
So you're not wrong, but we are right now, in my opinion, we're accessing why mouthpieces got thrown and people walked off the court in the middle of games and arms were thrown in the air.
But were hard conversations had? Did Steve have these hard conversations?
No idea. I'm sure there were some.
I get the feeling when I watch Steve coach this team, and I love Steve, I get the feeling that he kind of tiptoes around these guys.
I feel like that's a Draymond thing. And maybe there is some of that. And he's already publicly stated he wishes that they had handled some things differently that surrounded Jordan. But sometimes the basketball side and the life side don't blend. And I thought that about Jordan before he got punched. I was like, if I'm Jordan, I probably don't want to be here. And I know that's hard for us to process. Yes, be a team player, do the right things, fit in the culture, just be Steph's underling. I don't blame a guy who's like, that's not what I want to do. That's not what I want to do. And you know what I mean? Kevin Durant didn't want to stay. And it took us a while. It took some people 12 months before they were like, well, hey, that's the way it was. He don't want to be here. Like when James Harden was a bench player in Oklahoma City, did you blame him when he worked his way out to Houston? Or did he need to just fit in the system beneath Westbrook and Durant? I just, he wasn't right. You can see it now in Washington. He's not good enough to be an NBA one. But I don't blame him for thinking that about himself and wanting to make moves that would create that avenue for himself.
To me, it's about, and then we don't know the answer to this, but was his role well designed and verbalized to him? Or did they just sign him to the big monster contract and roll the balls out and say, go at it? And if there was no guidance and no leadership, it's hard to have perspective on yourself. And a lot of people have a hard time having perspective on themselves. So maybe he's just one of those guys that didn't have any real perspective on himself, and he just felt like the $35 million AAV was licensed to hoist and to do basically anything to put up numbers. But it's about efficiency and it's about team play. And he started falling in love with things that he was just kind of okay at. and he went away from the things that he was great at. And then that ultimately devalued what he was as a player to the point where they traded him for a 38-year-old guy.
I don't disagree with anything you're saying. I just understand why he may not have shared that thought. And it's hard for me to believe with as successful as the Warriors have been that these conversations didn't happen. I'm sure they happened, and then they weren't followed, and that's why people started throwing things on the court. I mean,
makes sense.
Yeah.